people coming and working on a mine site are typically coming in and doing fairly high-risk work. So you can just imagine if an inebriated employee came in onto the mine site, they're operating heavy equipment, the impact of that to themselves and to those people that they're working around could be quite substantial.
How does the demographics of your workforce contribute to any risk?
The demographics of the North Parkes mines workforce is quite interesting and probably fairly typical for most of the mines in New South Wales. So we've got around 45% of our workforce that are aged between 18 and 35. And clearly that's one of the higher risk groups for alcohol and substance abuse in general. And then if you break that down even further, around 36% of our workforce are males. 3/4 of them would be directly in the line of fire.
So how do you manage the risks?
If we look specifically at alcohol and drug use, it begins right from the point of entry to the mine site, where firstly we have an induction program. And one of the core components of the induction program is introducing the workers to the fact that we have a zero tolerance policy for drug and alcohol use on the mine site. We have very clear discussions with the employees around what our expectations are.
What kind of testing happens?
The first form of testing is alcohol testing. It's a very, very similar process to what the state police use here in New South Wales. There's a handheld testing device. It's essentially at the point of entry at the mine sites. Once you're granted entry to the mine, you're in a position that you may be asked to undertake a random breath test to confirm whether or not you're actually under the influence of alcohol. In addition to that, we also do blanket testing. Blanket testing is run on days that for us are high risk. So typically when we do shutdowns at the mine, we would have a blanket testing day. And what that means is every single person who enters the mine site will be alcohol tested.
What are the consequences of positive tests?
A positive test will result in the individual being sent home on the day. If it's an alcohol test, they need to present back to work the following day, fit for work, and that is pass the alcohol test. The individual is also required to do at least one session of counselling, just to ensure that there's not a hidden problem, I suppose.
And what other drugs do you test for?
We're looking at THC and all the other range of drugs, all those that have the potential to impact individuals' ability to do their jobs safely. So our drug testing program is a little different to the alcohol testing. It is urine testing, so the individual will be flagged at the front gate randomly to come in and provide a urine sample. A refusal to undertake the test is considered to be a positive result.
Do you ever get any false positives?
Occasionally there are false positives. Drug testing can have a little bit of inaccuracy attached to it. So for us, what we do is if an individual is picked up in their initial urine test as potentially having a drug in their system, we actually send that sample away to a laboratory for a confirmation test.
Is the testing readily accepted by your employees and contractors?
Absolutely. I think the mining industry now has certainly been undertaking drug and alcohol testing for as many years as I've been around, and I've been in the industry for nearly 15 years. It's accepted practice. Individuals don't want to be working with somebody who's going to put them at risk.
Reputation as being blokey and boozy. How has that changed?
We're working very, very hard to change that perception. Say, for example, we have a function on in town. I think you could have said 20 years ago, function in town, it would have been an unlimited tab. We would have probably not provided any services for the employee to get to and from the function, to a point now where we'll put buses on to get our employees safely to and from the function. There'll be a limit on the types of drinks available. There'll be a time when the bar closes to ensure that if people are going to work the next day, that they've had satisfactory time to sleep off whatever drink they have had and to be in a position to come to work fit for work. So that's just a very small example of how I think the mining culture has changed.